Today we're taking a look at a Grasshopper 727 KW with the Kawasaki engine, and it's just not running very well. Let's start it up so we can show you what we're talking about. Sounds like it's bogging down. So when we started this up and removed the spark plug wire, there's no change in operation. It's running the same with this plugged in or not plugged in. So that could mean a bad coil pack, for example. So we put the spark or the tester on, and we can see that we're getting spark, or we're getting power through here. So then we would want to check the spark plug next. Now we've got the other spark plug wire unhooked. Let's see if this one's giving off a spark whenever it turns over. The spark plug is giving off a spark. So we know that we're getting spark in here. I don't think it would have lost compression suddenly, but one thing that we do have in here is a double-barreled carburetor. Could be one side of that carburetor has gotten plugged up. Let's take it off and take a look. All right, we've got the carburetor off. It's really dirty on the outside. I don't want to spread that everywhere, so I'm going to wipe it off. We've got tools to take it apart, and we've got carb and choke cleaner. So first thing I'm going to do is wipe this down as best I can. Here I wiped the carburetor down with a rag to get some of the gunk and debris off. I also used compressed air to blow some of the debris off. I tried not to get any debris in the carburetor since I'm trying to clean it. I might have inadvertently done so, but it was pretty dirty on the outside, and I thought that would be an easier way to get it cleaned up. Here, I tried all kinds of different screwdrivers to make sure I got the tightest fit. I didn't want to strip the screws out on the bowl whenever I was taking it out, so I took my time there. Here I'm taking the fuel shutoff solenoid off. Actually, whenever I got it off, I noticed that it had been snipped, so it's actually no longer providing its function. It also had a copper washer. I want to make sure not to lose that. I didn't want to lose that copper washer, so I made sure it stayed on there. Here I'm taking the bowl off. There was an O-ring inside the bowl, or the O-ring. It's got that little clover leaf in the middle. I wanted to make sure that that stayed in there, so I took the float off and the pin out. Here I'm taking the top off of the for the overflow. I don't know if it was necessary for me to take that off, but I did. There's two little jets that I took out of each side. I'll clean those out here shortly. But that's there are two little arms that stick out the bottom of the carburetor into the bowl. I didn't take those out. I don't know if you can or not. It would have been easier to clean them if I did take them out, but I didn't. Here I'm spraying use my safety glasses and spraying the carb and choke cleaner inside. There's tiny little holes in those jets, so spraying those each little hole to make sure that's cleaned out. I sprayed all parts of the carburetor just in case there was any gunk and debris. And then here's where the clog was. It was on one of those sides, and it was clogged. It was noticeably different on one side versus the other. So I really took my time there, sprayed carb and choke cleaner, and then used compressed air. My little air nozzle had a rubber tip on it, so I was able to kind of shove that over over some of the parts to get better air pressure on it. And I just repeatedly did this until it looked like the cleaner was flowing through the carburetor more freely than whenever I initially started. So after I got to a point where I thought it was satisfactory, started reassembling the carburetor. Probably best. I didn't do it in the exact order that I took it apart, but as long as I got it back together the way it was originally put together. So that's key there. Again, whenever I was using the screwdriver, I was careful to make sure I didn't strip the screws out. I got the float back in, the pin back in, the bowl back in with the O-ring still attached. If you happen to have a new O-ring to put in, great. I didn't have one and wanted to get this cleaned up, but next time if I were to do this, I may order new O-rings and for the carb bowl just to replace that while I was at it. Let's see, put the fuel shutoff solenoid back on, even though it's non-functional, and then I got the little hose, overflow hose back on. All right, if you recall, it wasn't firing on this cylinder whenever we ran it earlier. We cleaned the carburetor, we dumped out the gas and put new gas in, and we also changed out one of the fuel lines. Go ahead and let the fuel pump get some fuel pumped in there, and we'll see how we're sounding now. Well, that sounds much better. So again, we weren't firing on this cylinder, and it wasn't a coil issue, it wasn't a spark plug issue, but it was actually the double barrel carburetor. One side was really gummed up. So this machine is back up and running. We'll mow with it a little bit, see how it does, and send it on its way. Thanks for watching.